you, and then you will get them answered. Okay, so very insightful lecture in the morning session. I really enjoyed the insights of experts, and Rajiv ji has been kind enough to join our multiple sessions. And each time he talks, he brings something new. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So with that, I would like to. I think we have few more minutes to go, Miss Hanuma, but we can start. Actually, we can get some 5-10 minutes time. Miss Hanuma, you are there. I think if you are available, thank you, madam, for joining us.
Yes, I'm there.
So yeah,
You
just
hear
to
me, right?
yeah. Thank you. We can see you and we can hear you also. It's a nice pleasure. So today, just to give a summary, we have four. I think we talk about four lectures. We talk about AI part in operations and supply chain, IBP and S&OP. We talk about end-to-end orchestration of supply chain. Then finally, we talk about manufacturing excellence with, and of course, the whole supply chain, Industry 4.0. Excellent. I think it is very amazing session to have it. Very insightful, very motivating and inspiring. Okay. So with that, I would like to invite Ms. Anuma Pogaru to talk about AI in supply chain from forecasting to autonomous decision making. Ms. Hanuma has an experience of 25 plus years in consulting and IT, driving innovation globally, specialized in consumer goods, retail, and manufacturing, construction, and government, and whatnot. And I see that you also work in ISRO. That is something good. So I would like to hear experiences. So as a client advisor and lead in Capgemini, right? She specialized in supply chain strategy and transformation, including procurement, and her passion lies in leveraging digital technologies efficiently and sustainably to gain business benefits. So thank you, madam, for joining the session. I would like to hear your insights. I'm sure you know about you is very high. Thank you, and would like to hear you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity, Abdul Qadir. And it's pleasure talking about the topic. Let me share my screen. Once it's visible, I will start. You can see my screen?
Yeah, you can see it. Yes.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay, so let me start, and very warm welcome to everyone and good afternoon. We have seen multiple sessions from morning, and I was listening to some of these sessions as well. And we started with, the supply. We started with really nice Suez Canal supply chain issue, how it has blocked the overall flow of logistics and how it has caused damage. Then we heard about overall sales and operations planning turning into IBP. We also heard the warehouse and manufacturing systems, very interesting point of views. But imagine that, you are a consumer and there is a company that, their supply chain automatically detects your requirements, coming up, planning for what is required for you, then executing it and delivering it to you. And then if there is any issue in between, it automatically corrects so that it delivers the value without any, or with the minimal human intervention. Just hold that thought. We will see how that happens throughout this session. So I'll start with this thought, that how AI in supply chains can work from forecasting to autonomous decision making. So just a brief introduction already Kader has mentioned about me, but yeah, I am director in supply chain transformation from Capgemini Invent, 25 years of consulting and IT experience. I'm engineering doctorate in industrial engineering from Netherlands, and the LinkedIn link if you want to connect in future, right? So what we are going to focus today, it's kind of, I would say we start with the basics on why AI in supply chains now, why it is becoming a trend. Wherever you see, everybody is talking about AI. So what is that business urgency? What is the technology shifts that are happening and what is the need? Then we go across what AI can do in the across the value chain or supply chain, that from planning to delivery. And then we also go in how the organizations, where they have to start and how they can realize the value. So this would be the focus for me that today I'm going to touch. So to start with, why AI in supply chains now? Is it new? I don't think so. But we'll go as we see. So primarily three things, three V's we call it. We keep talking whenever the any supply chain topic comes: the volatility, visibility, and velocity, right? So volatility, primarily the environment in which the supply chains are operating, whether within or outside, are subjected to lot of disruptions, with respect to the very first thing we heard about Suez Canal or geopolitical events, trade wars, climate change regulations. Just to give it on a timeline, we have seen 2020 or 2019 COVID, everything became a stop. And then we realized the need of digitalization and how we have to change. From there onwards, it went into leveraging digital technologies for commerce, for customer interactions, those things. That's a one kind of digital disruption that happened. The second, as we move forward, 2021, 22, we saw that Suez Canal blockage, and we heard a very detailed thing about this Suez Canal blockage, where it's 6 days of disruption in terms of logistics, 300 vessels blocked, and it's had its own repercussions in terms of just-in-time manufacturing or food products or livestock that got stranded in this 6 periods. Does that end there? I don't think so. Then you have legal repercussions based on that, where multiple companies involved, and the claims started from almost 916 million to, finally it got settled around 500 million euros. So that means it's again a disruption, not for one company, but multiple companies involved. Then you have Russia, Ukraine war, where 1,000 companies or approximately 1,000 companies pulled out of from, Russia, and it has its own impact in terms of revenue, profit loss. And very recent, if we have to talk about the US, when India sent mangoes to US, just because of irradiation documentation that has been pending. So whole lot of the mangoes rejected, which caused, product stockouts within the companies that have procured, but a huge loss in terms of shipping, all those things, and multiple companies have been impacted. And to the least, 2 days back, Trump has come up with his own AI action plan on how that whole US have to gain market or its importance within the AI. So that's a kind of a volatile environment where all your supply chains are performing, and every aspect of it has impact, not just in transportation or warehousing or planning, but it's end to end. So now when you have this kind of a volatile environment, visibility becomes prime importance. But does companies have visibility into their operations? No. Like some to some extent they have, but again, siloed legacy systems where there are no or limited connected processes, so you will not know what is happening, or lack of end-to-end data, where even if you have a amount of visibility within your data, but you don't have a visibility into your supply chains, and also latency in detecting the delays. So is this all with that the supply chains are needing? No. Earlier, it's push-based systems where companies used to follow, but now velocity is becoming important. You have seen quick commerce, you have seen e-commerce, where the deliveries are expected same day or maybe within few hours. And if with Zepto and those kind of things, it's a matter of 5 minutes. That's where you are operating in. So how you have to ensure your products reach to the consumers, or just in time manufacturing where you don't have any buffers. So if any event occurs, how you are going to continue with your operations. So all these three, this is just the era of disruption that is happening in supply chains. Now, if you see from the another angle, how the technology is advancing, some of these we have already seen in our earlier presentations, but I'll just set the context, leave the middle part of the block for now. Let's start from the artificial intelligence. So we had a traditional AI where, we get the data, we just find the visibility, just do some, descriptive analytics, those kind of things. Then the machine learning came where, it started learning from or training itself and trying to identify things. Then came deep learning. Together with that, the Gen AI came where you are bringing more in terms of considering what is therein, how you can generate insights, outputs, those kind of things. And now the era of agentic AI is coming where agents performing activities on their own with a goal that has been set for. So this is one direction in which the technology is evolving, and the other technology is from the IoT point of view. We started with the beginning internet, just a content sharing kind of a thing. Again, now we are having, internet of people where we have a social media, then we have internet of things in terms of sensors and all. Now industrial internet of things, that's where your machines can interact with each other and interact with people as well. So that's another technology that is evolving. And then digital twins, where, maybe if you have to see from the point of view where we started with mirroring, is just seeing what exactly is there and mirroring that. But then we went into monitoring the events through, again, a combination of analytics. Then currently we are having modeling and simulation, which is moving towards autonomous decision making, where the simulations are happening based on that. The same digital twins can, take action, interact with physical environment. So combination of all these three things, imagine what a technology can do. And then we have even the processing power increasing. That's where your quantum computing power is coming in place, where you can do all the analysis within a fraction of seconds, and you're getting a lot of data. And then cloud, making it that centralized data decision making, and then, putting everything so that everybody can access a single data or single instance where everybody can see across the globe. So considering these are the trends, and then with this kind of technological advancements, is it that, supply chains can go, um, uh, how if in this disruptive environment with these technological advancements, if the companies have to survive and thrive, right? Now it's amplified urgency that supply chains have to be responsive, resilient, and reliable. So these three things, even I'm talking from last 10 years, but this has gained more and more importance in terms of all the changes that are happening. So is AI optional? No, I don't think so. And it became critical. And now most of the companies, or at least 75% of the companies are, trying with AI, Gen AI, agentic AI. And we will see how that maturity is happening as we move forward in this. So now we have seen why that, supply chains have to be resilient with all these trends. Now we'll go across like how this AI can help across the supply chain, various areas. So if we have to go, we have seen from planning point of view, it's more how that functionally, or how the process wise, how you have to set up that entire thing from just sales and operations planning within the supply chain function to overall integrated business planning. But then how AI can help, if you see from a traditional AI point of view, which I have at the first point, the forecasting and demand sensing, scenario simulation, inventory optimization, these are the use cases that primarily most of the companies have some kind of automation. And based on this, up to 2 years back, this was major in terms of most of the companies having it. But then when the Gen AI started coming in, so they are, they are using Gen AI in terms of how they can generate the business plans, what if narratives, or summaries in terms of whatever the meetings that have happened in SNOP or a dashboard so that that can be reviewed. Now with agentic AI coming into place in last couple of months, how that autonomously these things can be performed. So AI agents coordinating IBP decisions. So this is the way that the planning function is going to evolve. Then we have a sourcing function. So sourcing function again from traditional AI, you see from supplier risk party and predictive sourcing and dynamic pricing. These are the things that are in place with most of the companies. Either even the ERP tools have gained that they have embedded these kind of things in the tools. But again, with Gen AI coming in, how you can auto create RFP, summarize those documents, supplier profiling, so that supplier risk can be assessed more, with external events as well. With that, yeah. Any question? So then comes the agentic AI. Agentic AI again from autonomous sourcing to execution, and AI digital negotiation assistance, and then supplier onboarding with the agents. So these are the use cases that are coming in. But of course, these are not exhaustive. There are further multiple use cases that you can go and make. Already we have seen from AI, what all it can do with respect to the manufacturing part of it. But again, adding Gen AI part of it, how that how it can generate work instructions within the factory, or the documentation that is required, or shift plans if you want to create. So those are the things that Gen AI can do. And then on top of it, the agentic AI complete or shop floor scheduling, and even agent-led OEE improvement, that's operational equipment efficiency. So these are the things that can go. Similarly, I have for deliver, return, and enable function. This is where we enable from function point of view. It is more in terms of risk management and resilience, control towers, all these things that come in. So if you see from already companies are having event collaboration, exception alerts, risk dashboards. But what Gen AI can do is like based on whatever the information that is there, how that executive briefings can happen, or simulation crisis response, or a compliance reports. And then that goes to the final autonomous areas in terms of self-healing AI supply chains, auto remediation, or AI led. So these are all like, of course, not exhaustive, but these are some of the key use cases that we have. But I can go a bit more deep to see that, okay, is it independent of a particular area and a particular part? For example, demand forecasting, is it can be done only with AI, or it can go up to agentic AI? That's some thought about it. So demand forecasting, if you see traditionally, we have, statistical forecasting, then it became ML for time series forecasting and demand sensing, that you have a POS, weather events, all those things, and you are creating the forecast for it. But with the generative AI technologies, these forecasts having the natural language process are trying to create the rationale for planners why that has happened. So initially, with all that AI ML that is coming in traditional AI, explainability is a very critical problem, that it itself is a project by itself to understand what the AI is generating. So that's where the generative AI technology can help. And then on top of it, the agentic AI is automatically detecting the new signals that are coming in, and proactively you can correct the forecast or recreate the forecast. So a bit more depth of going into this. Maybe I will just show it to you how it can go. So we have data sources like historical sales, customer orders, market intelligence, demand signals. So which anyway traditional AI uses, it uses AI ML and creates the forecast. And systems create forecasts, again, human intervention in terms of understanding that, and then how corrections can happen where they need to trigger. But coming to the agentic AI landscape, so there are like this multiple agents can together work on it. Again, from data validation point of view, whether data accuracy is correct, data preparation is in place, then again, forecasting agent can do the pattern recognition and demand forecasting. Inventory agent can look into the stock monitoring, then create auto replenishment or trigger the inputs to the forecasting agent. Pricing agent, again, if the pricing is having an impact on forecasting with respect to your promotions or price trends, dynamic pricing, those kind of things pricing agent can do. And customer behavior trends, another agent can track the trends. And if there is anomaly detection from any of these things, whether any changes, it needs to go for auto creation, or you have to recreate the demand forecast. So that all can be done by your agentic AI things. And if there is a human intervention that is required, then this anomaly detection agent can bring it out, say that this is where human intervention is required. And of course, what are the outputs? That outputs will create similar, sales forecast, your inventory updated, all the information. So this is one use case that what we have seen. And the second use case is again uh, from the from the risk resilience point of view. Traditionally, we have our event correlation and risk heat maps, how that risks are having an impact. That's again left to human intervention where it has to go. And generative AI helps in some in terms of understanding that, whereas agentic AI can automatically trigger your contingency plans and all. So we'll see how that works as well. Uh, so you can have, again, your supply chain data sources. Again, this I'm looking from the external point of view, where you have portals where they're talking about the price variances with respect to specific materials, or your external data sources like social media, and then your internal data lakes where you have internal data with respect to your sales, procurement, all that information. So if you see from the external data point, you can have a risk orchestrator kind of an agent which can help define what kind of risk is it. And then based on this, you can again have a master orchestration agent in terms of where all the changes that needs to happen, whether it's a demand planning, supply planning, production planning, or shop floor routing and all. So for example, if you have a detection in terms of supplier risk, or that supplier has a financial risk or a delivery risk. So once you have that, or the mango incident that we have talked about, so that's a kind of a supply risk. So when you have that supply risk, you may have to automatically think about your supply planning. What are the alternate routes that you need to have, or what are the alternate suppliers you have? So that supply planning agent can trigger that. And then it also triggers the production planning agent in terms of how that production changes have to happen if there is a dependency in the supplies that are supposed to receive. And then shop floor management, where if it's a just in time kind of order that you are supposed to receive, then you have to reschedule your shop floor. And then your order management, so if you have customer orders, communicate them what changes needs to happen. So this is a kind of automated agents that are coming in. Whatever is the goal that it has been set by the companies, they can automatically manage the entire process. Now the question comes, is it that human tasks are going to reduce? Yes, to some extent, but human element is going to extinguish? No, because all the goal setting, anything that the challenges that comes in, trying to create the governance, how they need to function, those are the kind of roles and that the supply chain um, organizations have to look at it. And if you also have to see, maybe the future, maybe in a couple of years, we will also see in terms of what kind of organizational structure that we have today for a people executing the tasks. You might have a similar kind of organizational structure for the agents performing different tasks, and the human intervention becomes like an orchestrator who will orchestrate things as per the company priorities, company objectives, and company strategy. So before we move forward, I asked you to hold for the thought that, if AI agents can do everything on their own, or if supply chains can autonomously perform, now think through this, right? As a customer, you are connected to everything. For example, you have a connected fridge where the fridge can, internally look at what kind of food items, your consumption patterns, and it can automatically trigger the orders to the FMCG clients, FMCG companies. So those FMCG or a retail companies. So retail companies will receive the orders maybe after a couple of iterations. Now they know the pattern in which the ordering happens. So the agents can detect those patterns from the sales point of view. And then, then they can say that for this customer, this is the kind of planning that needs to happen. So again, the agentic AI planning can bring it up, and then those agents can automatically order if that needs to be delivered from a retail client or manufacturing. So this is just one, like a completely end to end. So the same agent can trigger production, then it can trigger the warehouse. Again, you have seen multiple robots and all functioning within the warehouse. So it becomes completely autonomous, independent. Is it only with the food? Maybe the automobile cars are connected. As a consumer, you know the patterns, then the automobile companies trigger. You have health bands, so automatically the patient care, hospital care, or insurance company. So just imagine, I think it's a imagining thing at this point in time, because agentic AI started coming in. See how the autonomously everything can function. So this is the thought that I have now. After all these things, now how the companies have to start and realize the value. Okay, this is all good, all these systems are coming, all the advancements are happening. So what is next? So now you see how that adoption technologies are coming in as a supply chain maturity curve. So this is more I have taken from analytics point of view. You also have a process point of view in terms of ad hoc. So level 1 to level 5, from ad hoc to connected to cross-functional to autonomous. So think in conjunction, and if they come, like the more the data and the processes are connected, from descriptive diagnostics to autonomous functioning, and this is through AI adoption. And if you see the current maturity, so descriptive diagnostic, predictive diagnostic, this is more having the existing data and then just doing reactive analysis, and to some extent analyzing the data. So like almost most of the companies are there in descriptive analytics and diagnostic, where what should be possible, why this has happened, that's a growing. But if you see the top companies like Nestle, Unilever, they are into predictive. And Nestle, for example, have demand sensing and forecasting integrated with their ERP systems, so that the patterns are automatically recognized, and then those corrections happen, the pricing decisions happen, or the depending on the positioning of the products, you can also determine in terms of the consumption patterns and all. Similarly, I have put here Unilever, they're using for inventory stock management. And if you see from the prescriptive point of view, you see Netflix and Amazon. Amazon at some countries have, proactive deliveries, based on your uh, product purchasing history and all. How is that happening? Through, your prescriptive analytics. Okay, this customer is looking, this is the buying pattern, and he might need this, so you can send it. Or Netflix, when you are streaming, it will give continuously recommendations based on your interests and all. So to the extent prescriptive is happening, and that is like a 30 to 40% are piloting. But whereas autonomous, we see Tesla cars are to some extent, having that autonomous status, but it is still emerging, and this is where you need to think through your supply chains, how they need to run, and how efficiently you can leverage the technology. uh, I go further. So what is that, if you have to be ready, what is that capabilities that are required for the companies to start adopting AI strategy? Now, most of the companies or the companies generally think that, okay, I have these particular processes within the supply chain, and how do I enhance these processes, optimize the processes with the technology? Okay, that is good, but the question is, then you are losing the possibility of holistic optimization. Whereas, you go for a local optimization compared to system optimization. This is where you need to have, AI native thinking in terms of what are the benefits that I need to reap, and what is the strategy that I need to follow to reach the benefits. Does that mean that I need to stop local optimization? That's not what it is. You can still do it, but your thought process and how you can integrate later at that point in time with respect to the changes, those need to be thought through when you are creating this strategy. Next, definitely the digital backbone. This is where you have your cloud, your data organized into data fabrics, one single source for you, so that your predictions, prescriptions, or autonomous function happens very clearly. Then, of course, you have AI governance and control mechanisms. This is very, very critical, because sometimes we already are seeing, Gen AI, agentic AI, the way they are functioning in terms of bias and all. So that's where your governance and control mechanisms become very, very critical and very, very important. And this is where the human element also has to play major role, so that the systems function as per the requirement of the company. And then you also have to have collaborated functions and collaborated processes, so that the systems are connected, and uh, whatever the information that is supposed to run through, so those things come into handy for the decision making. And this is like a continuous organizational culture and a skilled workforce that is required. And like we have seen in our previous uh, call from Rajiv, that how they are embedding automation and AI into their day-to-day operations, encouraging employees. So that's a kind of a skilled workforce, or getting skilled, and then as a part of embedding the organizational culture of innovation and learning. So these are all the preliminary requirements that we need to have, to start the AI journey. I mean, not start the AI journey, but if you have to really reap the benefits of these technology into the supply chain capabilities. And then I'll pause here. Any questions that, I can take, or
Uh, yeah, let me compile the questions, madam. Yeah.
okay, so I will just finish this then. Okay,
Okay.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
how to start the AI journey? So for the companies, you have to see the high impact areas in terms of cost reduction. That is one of the key impact where you can realize from the automation. either supply chain costs or transportation costs, maybe up to 15 to 30% reduction. And then service improvement in terms of online deliveries, stock outs. So the possible improvements are, 25 to 30%, or stock outs around 30 to 50%. And forecast accuracy, it's depending on the type of SKUs and all, it can be 20% to 50% improvement. And when you see any AI use cases that have happened, I think these are the primary areas that, most of the companies have targeted. And then even within that, whether you have to see all the products for the forecasting, no, you can again have a starting points. What are those starting points? Look for high variance SKUs that you have. For example, in FMCG category, whatever is the fast moving with low shelf life, that can be one of the target area. If you have automotive sector, more like a spare parts management, where you have lot of variability and slow moving parts. So these are some of the things that you can look into. Again, the second starting point is route optimization, again specific to where you have lot of challenges in terms of delivering on time, or where you see heavy flows of traffics, or a delivery windows that you have. That's where you can start with. And of course, wherever from the procurement point of view, if you see, it's like wherever you have a manual activities, or procurement parts of it. For example, like here I can take digital negotiation part of it, which we talked about. So digital negotiation assistant, where the buyer faces the supplier for a face-to-face discussions. So what they will do is they will analyze manually all the RFPs, what have been quoted, what are the buying patterns, what are the external risks with these suppliers, what are the product trends, what is the cost behaviors. So all these things is like a lot of manual intervention before that 1 day or 1 hour of that negotiation process that is happening. That's one of the key areas that you can target, so that your negotiations happen uh, as per your target objectives. So we have seen the impact areas, the best starting points, but how do you start it? So we have talked about what are the important elements in the previous slide. So here, once important thing is you have to set the strategy, again, AI native strategy, not just from the improvement point of view. Once you have that, you have uh, take a small area, pilot it, prove it, so that you are getting the results that you want, and then scale up. So that's how I think the companies have to start with. So to conclude on now, AI isn't an add-on. So it's not just, don't look at it from, okay, I'm running my processes, what benefits that I can get, but it's an engine of next gen supply chain performance. So think AI native, look for the benefits, start small and gain the profits, and then scale it up. Think that's all that I have today to present. Again, lot of thoughts to discuss, lot of ways to initiate, but I think I would stop here for today. Thank you so much.
So fantastic insights, Madam Padmanabha Garu. Thank you very much. Very insightful lecture. You told some very key points I just noted. So explainability in AI generated models is something everybody would like to know. Okay, that is something which is very interesting. One question is now with introduction of AI and agentic AIs, what we see is some processes not required any optimization. Some processes can be eliminated altogether. Okay, so especially in the routine processes in planning and also some kind of operations, all the processes can be eliminated altogether with the introduction of AI. What do you think in that direction? Because it's not only a continuous improvement; it's a step improvement in the supply chain. So what is your take, madam?
Oh, that's where I think that's a very good point that you have you have talked about, Khader. That's true. That's where I kept telling AI native thinking process that is required. So some of the processes which I think it's not new also. If you really see from the RPA when that thing came up, some of the processes that were done manually have been given to the automation, and that tasks are performed by the RPA technology. Similarly, then as you move forward, what you used to analyze, those tasks move to AI. Now you have gone to interpretations. So it's not, it's always like with the technology improving, the manual tasks are reducing, but human intelligence is necessary, so that how you have to really divert, or what exactly is needed, whether the system that is required to perform, is it performing as it
Hmm,
as it is
hmm,
supposed to perform, right? So that is very important. But definitely, yes, human tasks will reduce, and the role of a human will become more from performing the tasks to the orchestrators, right? How they have to orchestrate entire process to gain the desired benefits. So we have to see, that is where I kept telling throughout my presentation, don't look the process and see the improvement areas.
hmm.
You redesign, you re-engineer,
Exactly.
so that the best practices are brought in. You leverage the technology to the best possible way.
Yeah. That's fantastic takeaway, Madam Magaru. See, here some processes, what we tend usually in the supply chain is we try to automate them. Okay, so we have a planning process. We try to automate it in the same way. Okay, and then we want human intervention is also in the same way. Now, if you think in a different way, so you define proper human interventions wherever is required.
Exactly.
Okay, to give the right input and then right parameters, and then let everything done by AI or whatever call it, the technology part, and then you validate the output. Okay,
Correct.
if this is the case, then some key processes in supply chain will be completely revolutionized. Okay,
Exactly.
like a daily scheduling. Uh, you have a MRP process, okay, some follow-up like expedition follow-up processes with the key vendors. Maybe that even the forecasting, what you have very nicely explained. So those processes can be, I think it's a good chance to re-engineer them with the current technology. Yeah.
Yes, just take our real life example. Before COVID, if we had gone to any shop vendor, we used to search for change, and
Yeah.
it's always lot of, okay, whether I got my change, whether the vendor, like you pay by cash. Now what we are doing, we don't need cash. Are we seeing any cash? Even the
No.
smallest vendor has digital payments. It's a completely revolutionized
Mm.
the whole, even the lowest vendor, even the street vendor also, you are not paying by cash. So you have to think through that way, in such a way that you bring the right combination, and how you can bring that human intelligence to, the uh, fullest extent to derive the benefits. But human knowledge, does AI replace? No, it's all
No.
repetitive. What you train, it
Mhm.
does. And
Mhm.
to some extent, based on your directions, even goal seeking agentic AI can perform. And if it is not performing as per your required way, that is where you need to intervene and give the right direction. I think that is one of the key
That's good.
aspects that we need to look into. But
Yeah.
it will revolutionize everything.
It is revolutionizing. I think the more we think about it, the pain areas in the whole process of supply chain, we have to rethink one way or other. We just try to do it in a completely different way. Okay, but some processes definitely it will be there, but don't do it in a wrong way. Take your
Exactly.
time, as you explained very nicely during your presentation. Do it. Take your time, step by step. Okay, so take easy process, but have a big picture in the mind. Okay, take baby steps by build capabilities, build not only the technology, but build the people also, the buy-in, the management.
Correct.
It's like a complete symphony where you transform. So very nice. You just give us the three columns. You take about the history of AI, IoT, and then you talk about third dimension.
Digital twins.
Yeah, digital twins. That was fantastic. I think it is a very nice way to explain what is going on, and people still they're not in that cubicle itself. Okay,
Right.
so I think it will come eventually. People will jump faster and then try to get the benefit of technology, and leaders like you can guide them very nicely. So thank you, madam. You can conclude by giving key takeaways. If there is any questions, forum is open. We have another few more minutes, by the way. So since you started a little early, we have few more minutes. So if you want to give a very high level takeaways for
Yes.
next 5 minutes, please feel free. You can do
Yeah.
that.
So maybe I will just take the very first session, what we have started with, so that we can just give the key takeaways from there.
Mhm.
So we have seen that, how that Suez Canal, the ship got stuck, how much uh, produce, everything got stuck in the canal. So now see from the AI or AI native point of view, how you can avoid or how you can think through, right? So now you know that Suez Canal can perform at a particular level. You know those parameters, right? Now you know the weather conditions that are coming up. And now you know how the ship, what is the speed, what is it, how it is moving, all these kind of things that are happening. And then the second, that is even before the incident happened, you can simulate with your digital twins how
Mhm.
that entire process can happen. And you can tailor to different scenarios in terms of whether that's the right time to be there with such kind of a huge ships,
Mhm.
or you may have to halt it for some time. Okay, now when the ship is happening, then when the incident is happening, you also can see, okay, there is a huge backlog of ships that have been stranded. So is it viable to reroute it? For example, if we have to reroute that, it will take 15 days
15
for
days
the
more.
ships to come back. Whether is it really feasible? So that kind of a
Yes.
feasibility analysis you can do. And if the ships are moving, if it is viable, then it is better option, so that you don't have to really go through. So you can also look at the financial impact. So this is where your IoT current situation. So the three aspects that I have talked about, that comes in place. First, whether you should allow the ship. Second, if that incident happened, what are the other options? So this can be simulated even before the event happens, right? And then avoid it wherever is possible. That way you are reducing the disruptions. So the key takeaways is, first thing, don't think that I have processes. I will just add on
Automatic.
the technology so that, I get benefits. If you think AI native strategy, that is where I think you will reap the benefits. And current technologies seem like time taking to work with the algorithms and all, but it is so fast progressing. That's where I brought in the quantum computing part of it. What the AI and Gen AI and agentic AI that can do with the current infrastructure in days, quantum computing can come in, do it in minutes. So think, so if you are putting a 2030 strategy, think what could be the technologies at that. Don't look at current state and try to design. So your future requirements, how all the technology angles, then try to create the strategy. I think that's what I wanted to leave with
Excellent.
today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and for a very insightful lecture. And ladies and gentlemen who are attending through Zoom, through LinkedIn, through YouTube channels, uh, you may post questions to Madam, and we'll make sure that those questions will be answered properly. Okay, so thank you again for joining Madam Hanu Garu. Thank you very much. and
Thank
a
you,
very
and
insightful lecture. Yeah,
thank you for the opportunity.
excellent.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thank you. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, fantastic session so far. We have around 5 sessions today. We have another 2-3 minutes to start the new lecture. Before Mr. Samir Kaiwar join, let me give a quick briefing. So we had 5 sessions today. One key insights from different perspective. So we had Suresh Kavali talking about AI in operations and supply chain. We have Eub Rahim talking about IBP and SNOP. And then Captain Sanjeev Kumar took us to the best practices in the supply chain optimization. Okay, and Rajiv ji took us to the automation, manufacturing, execution, and warehousing. And then Madam Hanuma took a deep dive in AI in supply chain, from planning, from forecasting to autonomous decision making. Very insightful lecture, very powerful concept, and great advice. So those who missed the session, they can watch the videos. We post them on YouTube, and then if there is any question, we will take it up. Okay. So with that, I hope Mr. Samir is available in the call. If Mr. Samir, thank you, sir. And I can see you.
Okay.
So